You're doing, and as always, I see what you're doing.
And I see what you're doing. Hey, listen, I guess last week was not my last show. Uh, if so, I didn't get the memo that it was supposed to be my last show, but I mean, you think I really give a fuck about that? I got a lot to say today, man. And welcome to all my listeners. Man, I love y'all, man, because y'all keep me motivated. Got a lot to say. Um, I didn't get a chance last week to close out on the on my podcast episode, so I figured this week, because I said I was going to do the podcast concerning that, I would give you some information that's pertinent to you. I know that there was an attempt to aggravate me last week. I even got called an agitator, which is something new that people call me because I'm such a stand-up guy. Positive note, I'm a certified public speaker now. And I just enrolled in the class to become an AI engineer. So if that makes me any more of a problem, then the problem I shall be. Agitator, I'm not. And the reason why I'm not an agitator, you want to know? I'll explain. But first, I'll continue from last week agitating, and then we'll get into that. All right. So with anything concerning war and all of those type of things, public record is such a great thing because you can always go to public record and find out what you're looking for. And what I found was a snapshot of lawmakers who invest in defense contracts. And such as the defense contract goes, the country goes, because it's really all about strengthening the American dollar once again. After you take it down. Hey, Amanda, how you doing? Amanda said last week was also starting to like politics because of you. Hey, listen, I'm just here as a messenger. You feel me? We all know that depending on what kind of messenger you are, they'll shoot you. You know, in public. You know what I mean? And at this particular point, they don't even care. But let's do some name dropping of politicians that invest in defense contracts. And I also have what they were doing and how much they were spending. You get it? Y'all ready? First up is Lockheed Martin. And I want you to remember that I told you last week, some of the same politicians that you have in office, when they leave office, they go and work for the defense contractors because it's big business. I want you to remember this is public record, so I'm not getting any confidential information from anyone. I don't have any informers or anything. I just have what public records tends to present. Something that our president, for some reason, won't disclose his financial records, right? When you go into public office, that's a law that has. So Gil Cisneros, from a Democrat in California in the House, was buying and selling. He invested from $1,000 to $25,000. Val Hoyle, Democrat in Oregon, in the House, was buying and selling. He invested up to $15,000. Richie Torres buying in 2024. No, wait, 2024, yeah. Trading dates, actually, $1,000 to $15,000. Scott Franklin, a Republican in Florida, $1,000 to $15,000. Jefferson Shreve, Republican in Indiana in the House, $15,000 to $50,000. Rob Bresnahan, Republican in Pennsylvania, $1,015K. Same thing for Julie Johnson and Jared Moskowitz. Democratic in Texas is Julie. Democratic Florida House, Moskowitz. And George Whiteside spun, invested $50K to $100K. Sounds like some inside information that was given, but don't shoot the messenger, just remember. And just so you can say, I ain't going to make up nothing, bro. This is public record. If Joe happened to pass by, man, somebody point out Joe in my direction. Jill invested in Northrop. And what's that? Let me give you some of the names. Dan Newhouse from Washington, Republican. Roger Williams, Republican from Texas. Mark Wayne Mullen, Oklahoma. Gil invested in Northrop and RTX. Sherry Biggs was in here, 10K, 15K to 50K. So I just wanted you guys to know what some of the taxpayer money that you're paying those particular politicians was being used for. Because, I mean, you work a 9 to 5 and shit, and they get a chance to invest those amounts of money into these defense contracts. And now we're at war, so guess who's going to make all the money? Be quiet. Stop doing that. Don't do that. But let's talk about Pentagon contract awards. The top 5 contracts, 2020 through 2024 and into 2026. Lockheed Martin came in from Pentagon contract at $313 billion. They were the largest recipient among top contractors. RTX came in at $145 billion. Second among top contractors. Boeing came in at $115 million. They in the top 5%. General Dynamics came in at $116 billion, top 5%. And Northrop Grumman came in at $81 billion, top 5%. I have a lot of different stuff going on. But as I close this particular section out, I want you to remember, because we don't want to go out and hear me clearly. Don't go out and riot behind none of this shit. Just hold your United States government accountable like they will hold you accountable if you was doing underhanded stuff, right? Committing fraud and shit like that, right? Because the biggest crooks believe they're above the law. And then we were going into a beautiful situation. And mind you, I want to open by saying this right here. I'm not against rap. I'm not against rappers. But I am against those thugs. Okay. I'm not against the United States. I'm not a traitor to the United States. I'm not a traitor to the United States people. You feel me? I'm not a racist and none of those things right there, right? I just believe that knowledge is power. You feel me? And that's the thing that's happening right now. There's a push to keep you from obtaining as much knowledge as power in order for you to make informed decisions about your life, your kids' life, your assets and everything like that, right? Just hear me out, because somebody's going to tell you somewhere along the line that, again, I'm an agitator, but I've been doing this since I was on the previous show. I've always talked about the politics and what's believed behind the politics. I've always talked about the real disparity between races, which it shouldn't be one. This is financial. You feel me? It's rich and poor. You feel me? Diplomats, aristocrats, and regular everyday people. That's what it should be about. But again, don't go out and riot because I told you that. I'm just telling you to keep your eyes open and keep your head on the swivel. Now, because we get ready to go in, and it's so close to the 4th of July, and I know you don't think it is, but time flies when you're having fun. And I mean, if you're having fun with me, man, reach out to me and let me know. Somebody give me a thumbs up or something like that. But if you're having fun with me, I wanted to talk about the 250 years, right? 250 years that America is getting ready to celebrate. Whatever the hell they call it. I can't even remember it. Some centennial or some shit like that, but whatever. Let's just get into what we're talking about and stay on track. I have a problem with history. You know, I have a problem with the way that history is trying to be written. But here's the thing: this is what confuses me with history. Stay with me because I'm not going to be long. But I was thinking this morning when I woke up about the lunacy and insanity that you have to write American history and be proud of American history and support American history. 100% celebrate American history. As long as it is the beautiful part of American history and you don't get caught out on the bullshit that happened along with it. What do I mean? Let's hang on. I'm going to give it to you just like it's supposed to be given. You know what kind of devious and deceitful person you have to be to write history down and teach American history? And then later on in life be ashamed of the history that you wrote. You know what kind of narcissist person you have to be to support that kind of history until it makes you uncomfortable. Then you want to change it so that you don't feel uncomfortable. Do you know what kind of person you have to be to say, my great-great-grandparents owned slaves? I'm a descendant of this person or that person, and they own slaves, and you be proud of it until somebody says it's always been that way, and then you decide that you want to erase it or separate the two histories. Newsflash: it's the same history. So let me get into my monologue because I just want to do that for you right off, right? In 2026, the United States turns 250 years old. The numbers sound celebratory, and it is, but it also demands and is demanding. A 250th anniversary is not a birthday. It is a moment of national self-examination. It asks what this country has claimed to be, what it has actually been, and who it has served. Also, who it has failed. What kind of nation it wants to become next. America began with a radical idea that government should be derive its power from the consent of the governed, the consent of the people. Hang with me because we get to go here every time I show up. I come with this thing. That idea changed the world. But from the start, the country also carried contradictions. It preached liberty while permitting slavery. It built a republic while restricting full citizenship. It celebrated equality while forcing generation after generation to fight to be included within its promise. This episode tells the fuller story of a nation built by revolution, tested by conflict, reshaped by struggle, strengthened by invention, and still unfinished. Okay, so listen. First of all, we have to remember how America was founded and the purpose of America being founded. And without that foundation, you would never be able to see where we've arrived to because you wouldn't know where we came from. right? I would go deep enough to say when I was in school, they taught history. They said black people were bought and sold. But let's go back to that. When you have, if you go back and track history from America, you have to go back to English and the British and all of that. Remember, because the first settlers that came to this country came from there. They came from Britain or from the British, right? Under a king, they had a king who ruled. Oh, and when they got here, remember that's where that's where taxes and all taxes on goods and all that come from. Uh, when they came here, uh, and they got here, they decided we don't want to pay taxes. We want to be free. Doesn't that sound like what every American wants to be? Because that's what the country and the foundation of the country was built on. You just want to be free. And do you remember the Boston Tea Parties when they took it through all those products that came from England and the water? It's a revolution that came from the January 6th. That was a snippet from January 6th when the young lady was asked the question that said, "Why are you guys storming the Capitol?" And she said it was a revolution. And I guess if I could be honest right now, that revolution must have been televised because the other revolution that was spoken of was not supposed to be televised. So therefore, uh, we are here now. America began as an argument written on paper. In 1776, colonial leaders declared independence from Britain and announced a new principle to the world that legitimate government comes from people, not a king. That made the American Revolution bigger than the military conflict. It became a philosophical rebellion against against inherited authorities. Listen, the Declaration of Independence transformed colonial frustration into a universal claim about rights, liberty, and political legitimacy. Even now, that language remains central to how Americans think about freedom and government. Here's the foundation. We don't want to have a king. We don't want to have a king. The people that come here are free. We don't want a king. You want to come out from under the rule, like shit. If you woke up tomorrow and said we don't want a president, this shit wouldn't work like that, right? But uh, they get here and they decide they don't want to have someone else telling them what to do, right? So we want to create democracy. We want to have our own authority. We don't want to come over here and have a king somewhere else sending messages telling us how we can conduct ourselves and what to do. Really? While America right now is dictating and telling you what you can do, how you can move, where you can go. We still want taxes. And remember, they did not want to pay taxes, but the American people right now, you have to pay taxes. You feel me? Why does that happen? The Ptolemies reacted to British taxation, imperial control, and the absence of political representation. At the same time, Enlightenment ideas about neutral rights and self-government were spreading through the colonies. Political grievances met moral language, and the result, a revolution. Walter said, "Good to see you, King. This fella be wilding out with presidential power. I'm a little nervous." We all should be nervous right now. We all should be nervous right now. Because I was trying to find the clip And I ran across it this morning, and I was appalled because I said, "No way did he say that." But there was a clip that somebody posted, just like the clip that I saw last night, where he was like, "People on the side of the road in Iran, people on the side of the road in Iran that got blown up with bombs, was walking around with no arms and legs." I'm just gonna pause right there for a minute because the most asinine things come off of this dude bringing them up. I'm like, are we all still comfortable with this idea? I wanted to do a piece on campaign promises. I wanted to compare what Kamala Harris said would happen and what actually happened. You feel me? But I said no. Let's do the American history thing, right? Because I mean, shit, there was something that was said, and I'm going to get to that later. I mean, I just want to mention something. In here, I'm going to mention a piece to you because I firmly believe that if you're going to ever have American history, then you're going to have to include the, the races that were involved in American history. You can't separate African American history or Black history from American history because it's all the same thing. You feel me? But I'm gonna get into that later, so just hang tight because I'm on the way. And shit, I'm into the podcast already. America's first great contribution to the world was not just independence; it was the public claim that ordinary people could create a republic. That idea inspired later democratic and independence movements across the globe, even as the United States itself struggled to fully honor its own word. You're not even keeping up with your words, like you creating something, you separating yourself from the king and creating something in a new country, and everyone else is seeing it and beginning to mimic what's going on. But there comes a problem with that. And I'm going to explain that to you because I really got to roll because the end of this is going to cause a real in somebody's life. But I just want to give you an idea because when we talk about excellence, we talk about all excellence and we don't separate none of that. Winning independence did not automatically create a stable nation. Under the Articles of Confederation, the new country found that a weak national government could not effectively manage trade, taxation, defense, or unity among states. The Constitution emerged from that crisis. It created a stronger federal structure, a presidency, a Congress, and a judiciary, all balanced against one another. The founders were trying to solve one of politics' hardest problems. How do you create enough power to govern without creating so much power that liberty is threatened? So you have branches, you separate them, you give them power, judiciary, power over the law, Congress creating laws, the presidency overseeing Congress and the judiciary, right? And then you got a federal structure. All of the things which are being attacked along with Iran, you feel me? Because our government, our government wants a dictator. They want an authoritarian leader. They want to change the Constitution and flip the time machine and go in reverse. Right? The founders had just escaped monarchy, so they feared concentrated power, but they also saw that weakness at the center could lead to disorder and collapse. So the Constitution was born from tension between liberty and order. Liberty and order is the Constitution. Also, the Constitution is one of the main reasons the American experiment survived. It gave a country durable structure, but it also guaranteed that American politics will remain an ongoing debate about limits, legitimacy, and the proper power. So let me get into it for you right quick, right? Because you're really not gonna grasp it until I give you the whole thing. Uh, uh, the attack on our Constitution, as far as changing the Constitution, reading rights of the Constitution, getting rid of certain articles of the Constitution, adding amendments in the Constitution, and all of that, is because the Constitution is the thing that holds the country together without it being total chaos and dismay. If you can dismantle a constitution and you cause chaos and disorder in the country, then people start to asking for someone to come and save them. And the idea would be that the sitting president at the time is the one that's able to come and save you. But then now it comes with a cost when you ask for that, because now in order for us to be able to get order, we have to have a king. Isn't that the thing that they wanted to get away from? A monarchy? Or has there always been a monarchy? I'm not sure, but hang tight because we're digging deep into this thing. But you got to remember, we celebrated 250 years of what? Prosperity? A clean slate? We celebrated 250 years of a glorious existence. But we have not bothered anybody. When we've been to everybody's country and invaded everybody's country, we put moles in people's countries. We've inserted people who were loyal to the United States into positions of power in other countries. We got rid of leaders of countries under the moniker of dictatorships, or just them being totally outrageous and murderous people. It sounds familiar from 1776, because that time there was a time in this country where I believe that some Americans in this country had no regard for human life. And I just want to start right there and tell you, these are my opinions and what I believe. Whether you agree with them or not, that's fine, but I just want to let you know what it looks like from over here through these things. Yep. But let's move along. Because there comes a great contradiction to freedom, liberty, justice for all, equality. And that is America's founding promise was liberty. Where one of its deepest realities was slavery. A nation that declared that all men are created equal allowed millions of black people to remain enslaved as the country expanded. The question of whether slavery would expand with it pushed the nation towards rupture. The Civil War became the greatest crisis in American history. During that conflict, Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation transformed the war's meaning, and the 13th Amendment later abolished slavery nationwide. Why did that happen? Slavery was bound up in the economy. It was bound up in political power. It was bound up in the westward expansion. It was bound up in southern states who defended it as essential, and many in the north increasingly opposed its spread. And over time, compromise fell because the contradiction at the center of the nation could not be permanently contained. So you went from everybody being equal, all men created equal, and all of that, and then you bring men from another country here and you enslave them. And this is the history that you want to celebrate. And I'm not telling you to be ashamed of it, because if that's what you want to be, if that's the type of person you want to be, then so be it. I believe that every man has the right to say however they feel, whatever they feel. You feel me? I believe that. I believe that every man should have the right to have form his own opinion here, and not be forced fed some shit that doesn't make sense. So I believe D.L. Hughley said, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend your right to say it. And that's why we come back to this from last week. There's a thing called the First Amendment. There's a thing called the freedom of speech, the right for you to tell or say whatever you feel without someone impeding on. As you can see, we do get impeded on. I don't know whether I'm gonna get. I don't know what the outcome is gonna be, but I don't believe that Charlie Kirk should have been assassinated for his opinions or what he believed, because everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe. I'm talking about transsexuals have the right to believe what they want to believe and be whatever they want to be. Identify as whatever you want to be. And then you shouldn't keep it a secret. You should be open and able publicly to be whatever you want to be. Whether whether people agree with it or not, hey man, you only get one of these, man. Live these things to the fullest. Be whatever you want to be. Just know that it's consequences that come along with it. But I mean, don't suppress yourself, then, because you wondering about what somebody else's opinion is going to be about you. Because I can tell you, there's a lot of people out here doing whatever they want to do, and they don't care what you think or what, however you feel or whatever. Okay? My problem that with American history is just right here. There's an attempt to suppress the ability for people to speak out about the things that they deem to be wrong and unfair. You feel me? There's a push to erase American history and reset American history because people are feeling uncomfortable about being associated and being related to people who committed atrocities in this country. Or the other concept would be that they want you to forget what happened so they can do it again. Right? Now the Civil War did prove that America could not remain divided. So its ideals and its institutions and emancipation changed the constitutional meaning of the nation, but it did not complete the work of equality. It opened the next phase of that struggle. So here we are, going to Civil War. Robin is here now. Listen to Educate Yourself. This is a professional agitator show on an uncensored radio station. Know what you're listening to. Right. Listen. And thank you, Robin, because I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That was my whole purpose. You feel me? Study this show thyself approve. You feel me? Study this show thyself approve, Robin. Make sure you go and research the information for yourself. You feel me? As I said before, Robin, you're more than welcome to reach out. You come on the show and you don't have to hide behind a fictitious name to say whatever you want to say. You feel me? But I appreciate you for giving me that little push right there, man, and endorsing my situation, because that's all I want to do here is educate people. So if you feel like anything that you want, anything that you hear me say here, make sure that you go and you fact check it. Fact check it. Because, man, I have never been called a professional agitator. I'm a professional at a lot of things, but agitating people is not, you feel me, something that I do. And I think that last week I almost got upset about it, but then I remember it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. So, um, moving right along, bounce, 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 bounce. Shout out to Robin, man. If you pass by Joe Esther, make sure Joe check in with me because I'm here today. Robin, okay? Looking for Joe. Got a few minutes left, but looking for Joe. Because I so love Joe's compliments. Now, if you tell the story of America without Black Americans, you are not telling the story of America. Black people were present at the nation's beginning, central to the struggle against slavery, essential to Reconstruction, and crucial to the fight for civil rights. Figures such as Crispus Attucks, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Hiram Revels, and later Barack Obama show that Black Americans were never observers at the edge of a national story. They were builders, leaders, organizers, soldiers, thinkers, and citizens, forcing the country to confront its own principles. You know what? I just realized something that Robbie just said. She said, on an uncensored net, on an uncensored radio station, and all of the bullshit that go on in this country that's uncensored. You jealous. You hurt. You jealous. You hurt that someone that looks like me can articulate American history and tell their story in the way that it's being told. You don't like it because if enough people wake up and see the bullshit, then they enact change. And that's exactly what's supposed to be. You feel me? That's exactly what's supposed to be done. But I'm not telling you not to stay where you at. Stay with the mindset you stay with it. You feel me? I live in this country. I love this country. I want what's best for this country. I want you to understand that there was a promise that was made in this country that has not been fulfilled. And it's a broken promise. Okay? But even with that being said, it's not a promise to one race of people. It's a promise to the American people that has not been fulfilled. Okay? And that's the thing that I come on here every week and do. I could be a big come over here and make all kind of racist remarks and none of that. Let me reiterate to you. This is for the American people. So go ahead and do your research, right? But let us talk about why you can't separate Black African American history and American history from each other because it's intertwined. And I said that last week, and here we are. And I'm showing you why it's intertwined. You don't believe me? Stick with me, Robin. I'm going to give you the tools to put in your toolbox. And if you really go back and think about it, then you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So, Black Americans continually demanded that American language, liberty, equality, democracy, and citizenship be made real because it didn't exist to us. You built a foundation on something that did not exist to people that were in this country. You had morals and values that were separate. America had morals and values that were. And I'm not knowing I'm back in history, but I'm building you up to telling you 250 years and what they wanted to look like and what it really looks like. Right? Their activism, leadership, and sacrifice repeatedly pushed the nation to widening the meaning of belonging because you remember the slurs, go home, all that type of stuff. After the country was built off the backs of, see, I almost caused the problem there, right? Built off the back of slavery. The economy built off the back. Black history is not a dependence to U.S. history. It's one of the central forces that expanded the meaning of American democracy. Any honest 250-year story that has to say that clearly. It has to speak about African American people and American people, Italians, Cubans, and Dominicans, and people that helped build and push this country forward, because it definitely wasn't all done by one race. You feel me? It definitely wasn't done by one race. You feel me? I'm calling for unification. I'm not calling for separation. I'm calling for unification because, I mean, to be honest, if you're sitting somewhere and you're waiting for a revolution to happen, you feel me? I believe we far off from a revolution unless it's perpetrated from some other means. You feel me? You can put up all the statistics and all the negative stuff that you want to put up, but I mean, at the end of the day, this country can celebrate 250 years. But a question that needs to be presented is how you celebrate it. Because you want to get rid of Martin Luther King Day. You don't want it to be a national holiday anymore. You got a problem with Juneteenth. Okay? The day that slaves was freed, or the last slave was freed. You have a problem with America, what you call African American history being taught, because it gives a black eye to a country that stands on the principle that everyone is free. And I'm the agitator. Let's do innovations, industry, and the markers, the makers of a nation. America was not built only by lawmakers in general. It was also built by inventors, scientists, entrepreneurs, workers, teachers, and visionaries. Industrialization transformed the country into a major economic power. Immigration expanded its workforce and cultural reach. Black innovators helped shape daily American life in ways too often overlooked. For George Washington Carver advanced agriculture, education, and practical farming science. Gary Morgan patented and improved traffic safety. Madam C.J. Walker built a groundbreaking business empire. Katherine Johnson, mathematics, helped support American space flight. These are not side notes. These are part of a national foundation. American innovation often came from people solving practical problems under difficult conditions. Growth, urbanization, transportation, agriculture, scientific competition, all created demand for new ideas. Here's why it's intertwined for those that are listening. Many Black people work through barriers to make their achievements even more extraordinary. This is American history. This is not Black history. This is American history. Because those products that you use so conveniently every day to plow fields and to go out into outer space and to use computers and cell phones and all that. and then the country almost came apart. America's survival was never guaranteed. The revolution could have failed. The Constitution could have failed. The Civil War could have permanently split the country. The Great Depression shattered confidence in the economy. World War II transformed the nation into a superpower. But the Cold War introduced a permanent threat of nuclear catastrophe. Later, Vietnam, Watergate, Iraq, 9/11, 2008 financial crisis, and rising population all weaken trust in institutions. Modern America is not a success. It's not only a success story. It's also a story of repeated stress tests. So as far as you advance, then there's always something come back and remind you in this country of where you at, where you come from, and sometimes where you going. Should it be a celebration about 250 years? Yeah, but if you're going to celebrate it in the right context. It should be a unilateral celebration. It should be a celebration of the nation where it comes to terms with the idea that we are all really created equally. And we should all be treated fairly under the same promise that uh, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You feel me? People come to this country for the American dream, and people that grow up in this country and learn what history really looks like and the ways that the world works, grow up with the idea that I can become well off. My dreams can come true too, unless the American dream in this country has been killed, and then we all in trouble because the door is going to get slammed on people who really want to achieve and become the best person they can be, and then you get a barrier like removing DEI. Like telling and saying to a woman what she can do with her body. Like telling her if she gets raped and assaulted, that she still have to keep a baby that she didn't want and she never asked for. Like waking up and going to war when the war was not agreed upon and nobody knows why we going to war. You going to war because Iran had a nuclear program. They always had a nuclear program. This is American history for you who don't know. You want to talk about the good shit. You don't want to talk about the stuff that really is pertinent to people's lives. You want to talk about the beautiful, glorious things. You feel me? You want to erase all of the negative things that you feel are negative because they just don't fit into my construct. I can't sleep at night knowing that that's what went on because some of those people are my relatives, and I just don't want to be made ashamed for something that my people have done. You celebrated it. Listen, you benefited from it. You might as well. I'm telling you, be same shit. Listen, I don't for 1 second think that you should be ashamed of the history unless I don't think you should. And then I also don't believe that you should go out of your way to change something that you believe in. Just don't impose it on everybody. You can be the type of person you are in private. I love you, Joe, man. Welcome back, Joe. I missed you, boy. This is tainted. My history is tainted. But I almost thought, Joe, you weren't gonna show up, man. Shout out to Joe, man, for coming through. And let's get through with this here hot so I can give you everything that I've seen here is tainted, but this is the history that they don't want you to be able to read. But Joe and Robin, y'all should get together and compare notes. Shout out to Joe and Robin, man. Let me proceed on. Large, powerful, and diverse societies are always vulnerable to war, scandal, economic collapse, and social fragmentation. In the United States, these pressures often become especially severe when institutions appear dishonest, weak, and more protective of allies than ordinary people. Man, why you ain't say nothing, Joe? You gonna sit here for 40 minutes and not say nothing to me, bro? I almost feel offended, Joe. Like you don't like me or something, Joe. You don't like me, Joe. You don't respect me, Joe. Come on, man. Is it really tainted, Joe? Or you just can't here and be a professional agitator? Joe said he been here the whole time. I'm 50 minutes in and Joe just not said my stuff was tainted. Are you robbing as well, Joe? You don't like me, Joe? Joe don't like me, man. Oh, well. All right. So last but not least, as I go into the last one, the debates of the modern campaign are not random. They reflect old American tensions: democracy versus authority, rights versus order, executive power versus constitutional limits, inclusion versus fear, progress versus nostalgia in 2024. And in the 2024 campaign, Kamala Harris blamed Donald Trump as a danger to democratic norms and warned that he was out for unchecked power. Trump framed Harris as incompetent and part of a failed administration. Beneath those messages sat a deeper question: what kind of country is America supposed to be? At 250, the nation is still arguing over that answer. What kind of country do you want to be? What kind of country do you want to be? That's the question. After this, we will have to come to that conclusion. The most honest thinking that we can say at 250 years is not we've arrived. It's that we're still deciding. The next chapter depends on whether Americans can tell the truth about their history and choose to still build a shared future. I'm closing now, so stay with me. 250 years ago, America was an ideal written on paper. Since then, has been a battlefield, a courtroom, a factory, a protest line, a voting booth, a contradiction, and a possibility. It has produced extraordinary language about freedom and extraordinary failures to deliver it fully. It has been shaped by founders and abolitionists, soldiers and organizers, inventors and migrants, presidents and ordinary people whose names never made it into textbooks. That is the full story. And the real question of America is not whether the nation has a glorious past or a broken one. It is whether the people living there right now are willing to inherit the truth of both. Because history is not finished, and neither is America. Now, the part I was waiting for, and I may not get. Joe, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, Joe. Listen, if you just stick with me, Joe, I can wrap it up. What I'm trying to say is we can definitely change the world and make it into a place where everybody can exist. And the conflicts can go down, man. You just gotta know that, people, we can agree to disagree. Can me and you agree to disagree, Joe? Can we agree to disagree, man? Because I've never heard any opinion that you have other than my information is tainted. I know the research I've done, and listen, to be honest, if you knew where I was getting this information from, you would tell all the search engines that are up now on the internet to shut down. I appreciate you, Joe, man. Listen, you have the right to your opinion, whether you like me or dislike me. do you respect me, Joe? Because I don't really need people to like or dislike me. I just want you to respect. The big thing for me is respect. You don't have to like. I got enough friends. I got enough loved ones and all that. But can we at least agree that me and you can have a mutual respect for each other? Can we do that, Joe? Yes, sir. See, that's what I'm talking about, Joe. Shout out to Joe, man. Shout out to Joe, man. But hey, Joe, man, I wish I could have you on the show, but uh, because I would like to go back. I would like to have a debate between you, Joe, man. If you could do that, man, let me know. But if it's not within your job description, and you can't do that, man, hey, I can respect that as well. Let's go over something before we go because I want to intertwine again and gel the thing together. Joe said he respect all humans. Since I'm a human, do you respect me as a man, though, Joe? Can you respect me as a man? Okay, so let's do this. The dry cleaning process and the first American U.S. patent was created by Thomas Jennings. Henry Blair created the corn platter and the cotton platter. Norbert Relux created multiple effect evaporators for sugar refining. A multiple effect evaporator for sugar refining. Jan Ernst Maxinger created a shoe lasting machine. Sarah Boone improved the ironing board. Alexander Miles, automatic elevator door. Granville T. Woods, Joe said it's tainted information. Railway telegraph system. Elijah McCoy, automatic steam engine lubrication system. Louis Latimer improved carbon filament for light bulbs. Garrett Morgan improved traffic signals and the gas mask safety hood. What up, Rhonda Jones? How you doing, love? Rhonda said, hey, y'all. George Washington Carver, agricultural innovations and crop rotations research. George Crum, potato chips. Joseph Winter, fire escape ladders. Adam C.J. Walker, hair care products. Frederick Kenny Jones, refrigerated truck transports. Charles Drew, blood plasma storage techniques and blood bank development. Patricia Bath, laser contract surgery devices. Percy Levon Julian, synthesis of steroids and cortisone. Daniel Hale Williams, pioneer of open heart surgery techniques. Alexa Kennedy, advancement in pediatric neurosurgery. Otis Boykin, improved electrical resistors using electronics and pacemakers. Mark Dean, co-creator of IBM PC architecture. Shirley Johnson, telecommunication research influencing caller ID and fiber optics. Valerie Thomas, illusion transmitter, 3D imaging concept. Lonnie Johnson created a super soaker water gun. I know we have fun in the summer with that. Katherine Johnson, NASA's orbital mechanics calculations. Mae Johnson, space science and medical research. Lisa Giobler, web administration technology using gifts. And I had about 20 more. So when you go back and you look at American history, if you have a component or a product that you're using right now, 9 times out of 10, that was the African American mind that had some part in your blow dryer or your computer or your cell phone that you send gifts with or whatever. Me, I have a part in making sure that you get this information and you're not misleading. So next time I see you, keep your head on the swivel and remember, I see what you're doing and we out.
soundeffect.com for more info, beats, and designs.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Beats available for $30 and exclusive beats starting at $150.
GBR, man. Swishy King in the
Make your next move.
Your best move.
Shawty, I'm with your girls, I do my do.
Yeah.
So we can all go.
Hey, man, I'm going in there with this wheel, man. GBR, the team.